Let us discuss cloud strategy. The cloud strategy, it's some action plan that tells how should we go about analyzing the whole cloud infrastructure and uh, performing or making use of the cloud at its best. So sometimes our goals might be different. So for example, if it's a startup, the it will have a different goal. Reachability might be its goal, reachability and quick access. If it's an established business, the goals are different. So the cloud strategy basically defines what role is the cloud going to play in organization. How are we going to align this cloud strategy with our organizational goals? So, a cloud strategy helps you to clearly define how you intend to use cloud services and the reason for this particular approach. And this has to be communicated and well put with the team. And we should always ensure that whatever are the crowd related actions, these are aligned with organizational goals. We increase productivity and find ways to reduce costs while working in the cloud. So developing a cloud strategy for a startup. So in case if it's a startup, they are more focused on building the product and delivering the product quickly to the market. So there, the strategy is to move fast and avoid undifferentiated heavy lifting. That is, we try to avoid any kind of work that does not bring value to the business. We try to save on costs. So instead of having servers, we go for a serverless services. Instead of creating and managing custom systems, we think about containers and Kubernetes. Instead of having our own database, we look for other managed database systems like RDS, Aurora, from AWS, that is AWS Aurora, or a Snowflake data warehouse product. So we look for other managed database options. In case if it is already an established business, and if any particular product is already up and running and profitable, then we might not want to migrate it to cloud. So in this case, we might want to leave products as they are, that is on premises itself, and whatever new initiatives we do, we might consider cloud for that. So but if there is already a burden of maintaining the systems, then in that case we can bring any product to cloud. Otherwise we leave in new initiatives, innovations and iteration for cloud. So the strategy for different kind of organizations might differ. So it is a six step process. The first one is we design a cloud strategy for speed and business value. See, when the professionals they start the cloud strategy, they look for three priorities. One is strategy and innovation. So sometimes we look for how can the cloud can solve how can the cloud solve business problems, and it should also enable any new innovations and research work that I do. The next one is governance and security. So I may not want to handle lot of infrastructure, and what are the governance frameworks around bringing the data to the cloud. And the last one is mobilization and migration. Migration is moving from on premises work to on cloud. So how am I going to make my organization run once I move to the cloud? How am I going to handle this transformation? So once we check out the cloud strategy appropriately, we must prioritize a primary provider in multi-cloud architecture. Now multi-cloud stands for multiple public cloud. In that we should decide upon one primary provider, and we should decide if there are more IaaS providers, PaaS providers, or how should we have these providers. And we should also put a cloud workload placement framework. So like, uh, which cloud provider should handle what kind of work. And the third step is build resilience into application architecture. Now, resilience is the ability to handle failures, to be the ability to recover from any kind of failure. The application has to be robust enough, and this has to be inbuilt from the architecture itself. So, in case if this is incorporated at the right stage, then it will bring resilience into the applications. Uh, Enable the fourth step is enable hybrid architecture with distributed cloud. See, there is hybrid architecture is public and private clouds. So sometimes we might face some complexity and unmanageability with these models. The organizations expect that the hybrid and the private clouds will have the same ease of use, service consumption, and integration opportunities, but that does not happen. So sometimes distributed cloud is also used. Now distributed clouds, they will extend the public cloud services to local infrastructure while maintaining the same management schema. So distributed clouds are also used. The next is optimize for cloud native with containers and serverless. So wherever possible, we should try for containers and serverless architecture, with which the cost of maintenance is also optimized. It brings about agility means we able to focus on diverse areas, automation, efficiency, all these uh, get built into the system. If we use cloud native architecture, then that requires a higher degree of service discovery, programmability, automation. But containers and serverless computing is very much uh, suited. It's very much they allow resource optimization and hence cost optimization in a better way. And the last one is grow public cloud skills internally to bridge the talent gap. So, in case if our team doesn't know how to handle these public cloud skills properly, but that is if they do not know how to work with cloud, and then it becomes a challenge. So in case if we have a trained team that works fast and adapts to the changes fast, then it becomes a lot more easier. So there are two very important things to keep in mind when we develop a cloud strategy. One is identify the goals. Why are we moving to the cloud? And the next is what are the costs? Sometimes transferring and maintaining might be costly than housing the product within the organization. So depending upon uh, depending upon various factors, goals and the costs are to be kept in mind while developing the overall cloud strategy. Thank you.